Bubba Duke and Terry.
What's that?
Well, the Bulkster is going to be joining, actually making the Monday Night Recap and Review Show a 3 co-hosted show coming up in either next week or the week after. He will be a permanent co-host with us. So we had a great response from the fans. We had good fun with him, I would say. Bubba Duke, what about you?
Fun.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
You know what? It felt like we had been podcasting together and been friends for a long time because it clicked.
Yeah, it gelled really well.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I agree with you full-heartedly. That's exactly what I'm trying to create here with Window Liquors and everything. And Chris, I know you're doing the same thing with your group over at Turnbuckle Studios. Bubba Duke's a part of them.
yes.
But before we go any further, Bubba Duke, how are you doing?
Great. The reason I was late, and I'll be honest, I got an opportunity to go back to a job that I thoroughly enjoyed and absolutely have a passion for aside from doing what we're doing right now. So let everybody know I have a job driving transport again.
Oh.
So Monday to Friday, I am going to be on the highway.
Well, that's exciting to hear. Glad you're
congratulations.
back to something you're loving.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. It's I'm hauling flakeboard from where I live to London, Ontario. So I can probably get 3 loads a week if I'm lucky. 3, mostly 2. And then I got stuff going back home, so that's all gravy right there in my pocket.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And we did have one of our friends join us here in the comments. Chris Best joining in saying, "How goes it, gentlemen?" It goes well, Chris Best. Go catch Chris Best tonight on the Raw Patrol. Exactly where you'll catch Chris Parrish and Bubba Duke later on tonight when Raw kicks off. So, speaking of Raw, Terry, why don't we jump into the topic you picked to review? Bubba Duke, this is actually your topic too. So
okay, so we'll work together then, brother.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So I thought about it. I looked back at Raw last week and kind of figure out what would be a good topic, and what better? It's Elimination Chamber season. So let's talk about the 3 qualifying matches that they had on Raw. I mean, they had 3. And we talked last week about what our thoughts were of those matches going into them. And we kind of had some predictions of what's going to happen, if there's any run-ins, interferences, stuff. And tell you what, I love it when WWE surprises us. It doesn't go always as planned, So, I mean, you had Bobby Lashley that went over on Bronson Reed. You had Liv Morgan defeating Zoe Stark, and you had LA Knight going over on Ivar. And I know 2 of those 3, we kind of had different outcomes happening on those. One was the Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. We were all thinking Bronson Reed was going to go because, first of all, he's Australian native. Yeah. They're going to be in Australia. And we also thought Final Testament was going to be interfering in that match in some form and fashion because of the feud with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits and BFAB. And that didn't happen. There was no run-in. So, I mean, it's great when we don't call it and we get surprised as an outcome, because it was a really good match. A lot of hard hitting and stuff like that. And then they had the LA Knight over Ivar. And we said again, we thought LA Knight wasn't going to go over, that they were going to do some kind of AJ Styles shenanigans. And AJ was never around, and they had a great match. Ivar had a lot of cool spots. It almost looked like Ivar was going to win, and LA Knight put it off, and won it clean. And like I said, then we have Liv Morgan and Zoe Stark, and we kind of called that. Liv Morgan came back from at the Royal Rumble, and this is kind of her opportunity of they're going with the revenge tour. Thing against Rhea Ripley. I didn't realize after doing some research that Liv Morgan was the last one to pin Rhea before she got injured.
Mm.
Before Rhea actually took her out, and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I didn't remember that because, like I said, it's just kind of slipped my mind. But she went over on Zoe. But is there anything, Bubba? What do you think of those matches?
The matches were great. My exact area I was going to focus on was the men. Who, out of all these men in the Elimination Chamber, do we want to face Seth Rollins for that title? So, refresh your memory. We have my boy Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Bobby. I can't say his last name, and I will not. LA Knight, Kevin Owen, and the one I can't believe that's in here. I can't even believe he's holding a title. Logan Paul.
You can't say Lashley.
I can, dude. I cannot. Listen. Carl and I spent 15 minutes on a turnbuckle talk trying to get me to say that name, and I can't. But I can't.
Okay.
I just can't. No, it's done. It's over. I've tried.
Well, I'm a good teacher.
So is my mom, but
Give me one little
we're
try.
at that line.
One attempt is all I ask. Can you say la?
You're not gonna get me to do it, bro.
Dude, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to make you better.
I've called him Leslie, everything but his name.
He's just a stubborn co-host. He's not gonna give you what you want, Parrish.
I know he's 5 minutes late.
Yeah,
That's
he's
why.
5 minutes late. He can't yes and
So
Bubba,
out of those men,
yeah.
I want Drew McIntyre to face him, to be honest, but I think Randy Orton might give us a better show out of all of them.
Okay. Well, let's dive into what Parrish says, but before you do, again, like I said, Chris Parrish's podcast, there it is. I am the co-host of that show. Me and Parrish talk about that on Sunday afternoons. It's not all just wrestling talk, but it is a majority of what we do talk about. So, Parrish, I do remember our discussion of this on Sunday. Can you let the fans know what your thoughts were on who would actually be the best suited?
Well,
for Seth?
now I want Lashley to win just to make it a little bit more difficult for Bubba Dude.
We'll never go through another Lashley story again.
Well, I think if we just beat the drum, he'll become John
I'll get it
Bonham, right?
eventually.
So, but yeah, no, I had it wasn't so much that I think this is going to happen or I want this to happen, but I'm intrigued if it will. And that's because we have 4 baby faces and 2 heels in this match. And if you want to even it up, you got to bring in a heel, right? And what heel has this insane power right now that even Triple H has a hard time competing against? Well, he just happens to be the most electrifying man in sports and all of entertainment, and that is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So what if it's his intention now to maybe put the edge to, or put the sword in the back of, say, an LA Knight or Kevin Owens, for example, and insert himself in there, and we end up getting The Rock versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship, because now we have Seth Rollins in a marquee main event type title match. And we also have Cody Rhodes, and they've only been teasing us with a potential tag match. And just imagine this vision, or this imagery, as you will, on the Raw after WrestleMania, where we have Cody Rhodes with the World Heavyweight title, and we have Seth freaking Rollins with the World Heavyweight Championship, and they've done what they set out to do. One finished his story, but together the collective have given the power back to the fans. And I think that might just be the universal, undisputed change that we've all been wanting to see. Do I think that's going to happen? No, but I'd have a lot of time for it. Not to mention, if by chance you want to even add another curveball in that scenario, well, you have Damian Priest who can flat out cash in and steal the moment away from Seth Rollins and The Rock. And if he was to pin The Rock for his first title, that's a little bit bigger than saying, I'm going to pin whoever. Not saying Seth Rollins is just a stepping stone, because he's certainly not. But The Rock is a way bigger attraction, and that's just the fact.
Hell yeah. Even I'll admit that. I'm not a Rock fan, and I'll admit that. The dude does his shit and does it right. Whether he's the heel Rock, or he's the babyface Rock, or he's out doing the movies, you either like him or hate him, and either way, you're talking about him.
Yeah.
And that's all he needs.
I mean, that's why he is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Terry, final thoughts on those thoughts brought out by Parrish and Bubba Duke.
It'd be interesting. I mean, like I said, it's like a dream for a fan to see that would happen. I like I said, personally, I don't think we're gonna see. I think who's in the Elimination Chamber match. I think that's who we're gonna see in the match. Like I said, I still think we're just going to get a tag match for, Rock eventually. There might be a singles match later. I don't think it wouldn't be a prime time for Seth to face The Rock because of his injury. Because I mean, if he was 100%, that would be a fire match. That would be just crazy.
But is he going to be hurt by the time WrestleMania comes in?
Yeah, I guess that's another thing. I mean, I don't know what the logistics of his, and I thought he had a pretty serious injury. So, I mean, maybe it's all a work, but I thought it was like, hey, we can probably pretty sure he's going to drop the title, but maybe it's all a work.
And we have the Grunmeister jumping in. We have to see Damien cash in at Mania. And that was definitely brought up by the one, the only Chris Parrish.
Like I said, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to finish up. Like I said, there's a lot of big names that are they've stacked this cell match, the Elimination Chamber match. That yes, we've been guided to think Drew McIntyre is going to lead this charge and probably face Seth, but they could always throw us a curveball. I mean,
very true.
LA Knight is still way over by the fans. I mean, during his match with Ivar, they don't even have to have a heel versus a face. They could do an LA Knight over Seth. I think LA Knight would get cheered over Seth because of his thing. I mean, I'm a LA Knight guy, but yeah, I would love to see that match. Maybe it ain't the time right now, but that would be a really interesting match if they did a curveball like that, or because of his overness.
Very true. Parrot or Bubba Duke. Yeah. Final thoughts.
See the fans. If it ends up being, let's take your thought, Terry. What if it ends up being LA Knight, Seth Rollins? I could see the fans doing what they did back in the day when one half of them was cheering one name and the other half was cheering the other name, and then they switched, and it was all night they were going back and forth between these two guys, and it drew you into the match. So regardless if it's LA Knight, regardless if it's McIntyre, it's going to be a banger of a match.
Mm-hmm.
The fans are going to be into it huge, regardless who it is.
And
but if it's LA Knight, it's going to be huge.
Bubba, like you're saying, when they were going, half the fans are going one way, half the fans are going the other. You just got to be
rise to the top. Oh yeah, Macho Madness. Has got more.
You just got to be that cream that rises to the top to get that. So, Parrish, let's hear your final thoughts on that subject, and we will move on to the next one.
Well, the first thing I want to say, I think one of the reasons why we're not seeing Seth Rollins in ring capacity right now, he's just doing promos, is to give him that time to alleviate the pressure of performing, to have that time to heal up. If by chance it was a for sure that he was not going to be able to compete for WrestleMania, I think we would have seen a more drastic approach regarding his championship beforehand. And I don't think Triple H would have even batted an eye on that. Wasn't an ideal? No. And we already know CM Punk's injury kind of caused a lot of ruffles in the plans to begin with.
Very true.
I think Drew McIntyre makes a lot of organic sense. However, he also makes a lot of organic sense to have a closure match with Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, if that's supposed to go down. And as much as I want to see Drew McIntyre go in there, I also think Drew McIntyre might get that moment of having that moment of winning a championship in front of the live crowd. But that's also the exact same time I want Damian Priest to rip it away.
Right.
Because it's either I get something larger than life, or I want to see them give me that change in Damian Priest, because you have to pull the trigger with him, or you've done what you've done with the Dolph Zigglers in the past. You've done what you've done with the Aleister Blacks. You've just laid to waste opportunity after opportunity to make this guy that true star that he should be.
Very true. All right, so on to the next subject, which will be my subject. I wanted to get, and this isn't specifically just one match oriented on this question, but your guys' thoughts on Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, here's my question. Why is it that it seems that the WWE waits anywhere from 5 to 4 months before WrestleMania when they start really hyping up what Shinsuke can do for promo packages, what he can do for in-ring work, what he can do for somebody you're trying to get over, all the things that Shinsuke can bring to a promotion? Why do they wait every year or later in the year towards WrestleMania season to highlight those things with Shinsuke? Or am I completely wrong on my thinking of this? Parrish, can we go with you first?
Yeah, I think one reason why we're getting a little bit of added green light is the fact that Triple H is in charge, and he's always a fan of Shinsuke. And I think there's a lot of hit and misses with Shinsuke. I think we could all be honest that it is a thing in the United States with pro wrestling that if you do not speak English, you're going to have a hard time communicating with your audience. Yes, you're still a very good wrestler. We know what Shinsuke can do. His vignettes, I believe they started in either late October or November with Cody Rhodes and whatnot. So it's been going for a good amount of time. If we go all the way to WrestleMania, that's already almost close to 7 months of this kind of stuff. So it's over half a year. But I also think they were trying to use him as a way to boat Okada into the mix, because they're like, hey, look, if we were to make a Nakamura huge, because let's be honest, who would not want to see Okada versus Nakamura at WrestleMania?
I can't find you a single person who would turn that match down.
If you were able to bring in Okada, why wouldn't you do with what you did with Seth Rollins when Cody Rhodes came in, the exact same thing, and you have Okada coming down as that mystery opponent, and it would be that banger of a match. It's almost that same feel as when Nakamura made his debut against Sami Zayn at NXT, because it's just absolutely mind-blowing that we're seeing it inside a WWE ring. I think too, it's difficult because you need to find the right guy for Shinsuke, because it's just one of those things where he's a great guy to put in, but you always want to do more, but then you always have the guys tied up somewhere else. And then by the time you figure out who you want, there's just not enough time to get that proper story. Now we're seeing proper background story with Shinsuke Nakamura, and I think now we're more invested in the character, despite if he goes on a PLE without an opponent. But I think when WrestleMania comes down, I think what we should want to see with Shinsuke Nakamura is an opportunity for a moment. I don't think it needs to be a title. I don't think it needs to be a big name person. I think we need to see a moment with Shinsuke Nakamura that stands the test of time, so we can go back and remember Shinsuke, because I think we can all admit that outside of maybe the odd match, maybe the nutshot stuff with AJ Styles, what moments truly stand out during Shinsuke Nakamura's tenure with WWE?
there's few that truly. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, the entrance when he came out with the violin player was that WrestleMania that he did that.
I think he did that with when he joined SmackDown as well.
But there was the first night he debuted it, and I believe
at
it was a
Mania, I think.
WrestleMania that he did it at. I think it was either that or a bigger PLE, but like that,
It would have been a takeover, I believe, because I know for a fact he did that when he got called up on SmackDown.
okay. So then, yeah, you're probably right on that one. It was probably one of the takeovers, which is the one that they do during WrestleMania.
Well, now they do stand and deliver, but back then it was
Yeah.
just a takeover. Like wherever, if it was Dallas, it was takeover Dallas for when they were at
Yeah,
32.
you're right.
or 31.
Now I remember how they used to do that. But yeah, I mean, you got very valid points on that. But I mean, to go against that grain a little bit, like with the talent that Shinsuke is, like just you posing that, there should be way more moments in our heads to think of, you know? Just, I mean, Terry, what are your thoughts?
Like I said, my history with Shinsuke, I didn't know him before NXT. So
Mhm.
when he came in, it was just every guy that comes into NXT from New Japan, or if it was somebody from AEW that I wouldn't be knowing of, or TNA, they have to impress me from NXT because I don't follow the other product. So Shinsuke did impress, you know. Like I said, I think a lot of what Paris said about the communication with American audiences didn't catch because it's and that's his care. That's not his fault. It's just so it's a language barrier to really get invested in him. But recently, with the whole comics, you can say anime. Anime is big in the United States, so him being this heel and using the anime, using the comics, he's speaking a lot better. So you can, and he's speaking in kind of like a rhyme, kind of like a folk, like
Riddle.
what you'd see in a comic or an anime. So him to do that and then elevate these Cody wasn't in it, but you know, seeing this match, seeing what Nakamura does, it sucks to see Nakamura lose over and over again. But he did win clean on Sammy at this last week, so
Yeah.
maybe it's starting to gain some traction. And hopefully, like I said, who knows? I don't know exactly like he said about the Okada. Who'd be excited? I personally wouldn't know anything about Okada, so unless they would bring him in and really quickly show us American audiences that had no idea about New Japan, really show what he can do, I don't think it would be a big sell, except for the hardcore wrestling fans.
Now,
But
yeah, I agree with you, but here's how you combat that. Like a fan like you, Terry, you would find somebody who's like Parrish, who's like Bubba, like me, who would know about him. And just us telling you, hey, this would be a match, that should draw you in just knowing what Shinsuke is capable of. So, you know, with our excitement for it.
I agree. I just don't think the fans at the arena would be back in Shinsuke because they wouldn't have no knowledge of Okada, you know, or a slim few, not the majority of WrestleMania. Well, they could, but
Go ahead, Parrish, chime in.
It's 2024. I think we have to stop. Like, I'm not like attacking nobody, but I think just the generalization of this whole "I don't know who a guy is" thing. Well, you have YouTube right at your disposal. You have all these platforms where you can go and Google and stuff like that. At some point, there has to be a little bit of it on that fan to say, "Whoa, my God, this guy's here. I don't know much about him." Well, what happens if I Google his name? What does that do? And when I hit videos, what does that show? You got to they're not baby bird like fans. You're not baby birds. You don't need mother bird to always chew your food before you get it.
Mm.
Like,
it comes down to take the initiative. You hear the guy's name. I know you don't know who he is. Okay, so let's be honest. I told you, say blah blah blah. You never heard of the Sandman from ECW. Okay, cool. You don't know. Hey, let's go to ECW.YouTube, whatever, and let's check out the Sandman. Check him out. You don't know who Okada is. Let's go to YouTube, like Parrish said, and let's check out who Okada is.
Yeah.
Because at some point you gotta like he's saying, you gotta take the initiative and figure out and do some research and figure out who these guys are, especially when they're fighting one of the guys in your brand for the first time.
If,
Like, that's what I do.
Yeah. And here's the thing with like Terry and his fanship. His fanship is the WWE, the
Yeah.
WWF. So in his defense, once those guys do come out to the WWE and they do put together a solid match, I know for a fact he does look them up. But until they put them in front of his path, because
Yeah.
honestly, if you don't go out there and you search this stuff, you're like, yes, of course, people people know of these promotions, of course.
Yeah.
But honestly, when you're on your phone, if you're not like die hard into doing what we do, are you really going to dive into it, or are you going to wait until they put it in front of your face on the product that
True.
you enjoy that has been tried, true,
No,
and true? So but I totally get what you guys are saying, because there's so many great talents that I've spoke about that people don't know about. And then it's like 6 months later, they're like, hey, did you know about this guy? I'm like, well, yeah, fuck yeah. I just tried to tell you about that 6 months ago. I got the fucking text chain where you had no interest in it, but now
And-
that it's on a
Mhm.
main brand, you have an interest in it. So
Okay.
yes, I'm in your guys' boat, and I'm helping over on this boat because I understand both sides of it.
and we were kind of stuck in this time frame back during the Monday Night War era when people would swap ship.
Very true.
However, nobody really posed the question of, oh my God, who is Chris Jericho? I don't know who he is. Oh my God, who is Scott Hall? He looks a lot like Razor Ramon, but
Yeah.
who's Scott Hall? No, nobody. We didn't have these things back then. Like, we didn't have these conversations. Yeah, we may not have known, but we also had the patience to say, well, the company thinks that they're pretty special and they're pretty important, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and get to know them too. There has to be a little bit of patience with viewers, where I know, again, we're 2024. There is no patience with watching stuff anymore. That is,
No.
that is so out the door. But that's also something we have to get back into if we want to properly enjoy content, because we're just going to nitpick it all the time. And aren't we all just tired of like saying, well, I don't know who this guy is. This sucks. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's actually quite good. You just have to be a little bit more open-minded.
And knowing with Terry, as long as it's not AEW, he gives them a chance. I mean, if it's
I like
AEW,
MJF.
well, at least we could take that. That could be it. So final thoughts on this, Terry. We'll go from Terry to Bubba to Parrish.
On the Shinsuke, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole
Like I
evolution
said,
of Shinsuke.
Shinsuke, I think this might be a shining year for him. I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, he did this at the beginning of end of last year, developing this heel. I'm thinking they'll keep up with it and have him go through the different baby faces. Like I said, if they bring anybody else in from Japan to tag with him, they can make a tag team. I know we like to see him in a singles match, but unless he crosses path with somebody, if they can get a baby face on the IC title or of something, he might go for that.
Yeah.
Have a program with that, but right now they kind of have set in stone what they're doing with the main titles right now. So if you want to see them in a title picture or whatever, then I see the IC title would be the best bet, or a tag championship if they compare him with somebody comparable to his new character development.
All right, Bubba.
Wow. That was a lot said, and that's a lot to take in, because you're not wrong. They do have the two main titles are pretty well forgettable at this point. I would love to see him go against somebody like a Gunther if that role changes for Gunther. Um, but yeah, they definitely need to utilize him a lot more. The man is got talent oozing out of everywhere. They're just not utilizing him right now. Whether it's the fact that he has a hard time speaking English, and if that's really the case, get a manager for him. Get someone to talk for him, and just let him go out there and beat the snot out of people. I mean, he's the king of what is it?
Strong
Strong
style.
style.
Yeah.
So let him show his talent that way. Then
Well, I
like
think I think they're on the right track with the whole anime style and things
they're
like
going
that
there.
with
Yeah.
those promo. Yeah, I think they are. So we'll stay tuned for that for you, Bubba, because I think that would bring Shinsuke full round for the
Yes.
viewers like you. Parrish, go ahead.
Yeah, Bubba, you mentioned Gunther, and that could be a name just because right now the Intercontinental Championship is a little vague, especially with Gunther almost just flat out coming out and saying it was supposed to be him and Lesnar, and now that's not happening. Um, and it's interesting because like as we talked about the anime, yeah, it's definitely something that's catching fire. And yes, it took maybe longer than what we all liked, but it's catching fire. And now you are finding a way to communicate with Shinsuke, and he doesn't have to speak using his English. So there's something to
That's
take
true.
away from it. Now we can cling onto him a little bit because now there's a visual of Shinsuke Nakamura that we are enjoying, and then we do like to see. So there's something right there, there's something that works there. As for who could be the right guy, SmackDown just brought in Braun Breaker. And if you need somebody of importance to work with Braun Breaker, I think Shinsuke would be very intriguing. I use Braun Breaker kind of as an analysis and almost a direction that if you don't have something for him on the main roster per se, temporarily, you can use him back in NXT to work with an Ilya Dragunov for the NXT Championship. Who wouldn't want to see that match?
Yeah.
Right.
You have plethora amount of people. The whole thing is do you want to see the match or do you care about the why is this match happening? And I think that's at the end of the day the big question to ask. When it comes to WrestleMania, I think it's very important we have a why, but what we take away are the moments. And that is why I will always say I want to see Shinsuke Nakamura with a WrestleMania moment because that always stays in the back of my head when I think about a WWE superstar.
Hey, I love it. I can fully agree with all of you on this. Um, and more so towards you, Parrish. I'm definitely somebody who's been waiting for that Shinsuke WrestleMania moment. I want to see where the highlight of the King of Strong Style shines. And I think that this is possibly our best chance to get it. All right, so Parrish, let's crack into your topic right now, and we did bring up a little bit of it, and I think we're going to focus on the IC Championship right now.
Yeah, it's I had a kind of a toss up. Like, do I go Intercontinental Championship or do I go to that Women's Elimination Chamber? And I knew I had a feeling we were going to talk about Elimination Chamber. So I went back to legitimately the championship that made me a pro wrestling fan, let alone a WWF, now WWE fan. And that was the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther has been a champion for well over 600 days now, and he has brought that championship to the pinnacle of perception and almost restored what we now know it as we were younger. And that is the championship that really takes you to the next level. And I think we all can honestly admit Gunther has now outgrown the Intercontinental Championship.
Cool.
I think that is well on its way. And I think it's time for him to pass the torch to somebody else. Now, who does he do that to? Because you want to make sure you're keeping that same momentum going. You don't want to give it back to somebody who's temporary. You don't want to give it back or give it to someone who might make it a mockery. So you have to find the right person. Tonight we have on Raw, we have main event Jey Uso going up against Gunther. Do I think Jey Uso's that guy? No, I don't. I strongly believe Jimmy Uso is going to cost Jey Uso this match, and we're going to get Jimmy versus Jey at WrestleMania in some way, shape, or form. I think the right person for Gunther right now is Sami Zayn. You want to bring back that one person who's willing to fight, who's willing to do every little thing they can do to make sure that the people have the best match on the card, bringing honor, bringing that fighting spirit, bringing that honor to a championship. It's that Intercontinental title. You want somebody to go and use that championship to help themselves elevate to the next level. Sami Zayn badly needs a reason to go back to the main event. And what an Intercontinental Championship reign done properly would do just that. Yes, there's that organic story with him and Drew McIntyre, but Gunther has been used as that ultimate bully lately, picking down or just picking on the people who he feels are beneath them. How much of an asshole would he look if he's picking on the one person who's fighting more inside of his head than he is inside the ring in Sami Zayn? And Sami Zayn has his moment where he dethrones Gunther at WrestleMania and becomes the new Intercontinental Champion.
I like it. That's a well laid out scenario. Bubba Duke, what are your thoughts on that? Beautiful picture laid out there by Mr. Chris Parrish.
Right? Like, wow. I can't disagree with them. I can't. If
So
that's
you're
the
in
story,
favor of Sammy taking
I would
that
be behind
role.
it
Okay.
because Sammy has played the part of taking everything from everybody and getting nowhere. So to give him that push, because the fans are behind him regardless, right? Like the kid has been at the bottom of the pile for say a year, and they still cheered for him. So why not give him this push? Give him a title. Let him help elevate that title a little bit more. Because you know the kid's going to be proud if he gets it. He's going to be ecstatic. And he's just going to make it that much better for the next person that gets it. That's going to take it to that next level again. And then, why not? I would give it to Sami Zayn right now if I could.
And I think that's the importance of it. The who's going to take it to that next level. Gunther has already taken to a massive level. Who elevates it even more with the help of Gunther and all of what he's done? Terry, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the Sammy versus Gunther would be an excellent match. It goes back to Parrish's saying, when you have WrestleMania moments, you have to have a why to make it stand out. So if they can make that work, I mean, just bounce in my head. I'm trying to think of where they're going with Sammy. I don't really know yet. It looks like they're going to the underdog story again, like because he's losing. I mean, he lost to Shinsuke, lost to Drew. And he's always like, now he's like doing the whole thing, sitting out in the stands and doing his, interviews and talking about, just what's he going to do next and whatever not. So if they do, it's how they're going to align him and Gunther to make that happen. I mean, is Gunther going to? I mean, like I said, I don't think Jay's going. Like what Chris said, I don't think Jay's going to be that person. Either with Jimmy interfering or just to be a clean win. I think Gunther's going to still be on top. Is Gunther going to come out and say, I don't have no challengers for WrestleMania type thing, and kind of like who's going to challenge me, stamp up? Sammy could jump on that, but another person that I wouldn't mind seeing in the IC picture, if, like I said, Chad Gable, if he would come out and say, give me another shot. You never gave me whatever. If that could happen. I don't know if, it's kayfabe. I did read, I'm not sure what the source was, but a house show just recently, they actually had Chad Gable face Gunther, and Chad Gable won by DQ. I'm not sure exactly how the match will lay out, but that just happened just recently. So who knows if that's telling of it or it was just put together because those two people were at that particular event. But I don't know if they're going to bring that feud back and maybe have Chad Gable have a WrestleMania moment. Because everybody's behind it. Maybe everybody's kind of forgotten about it by now because they're like, oh, they gave up on him. But they could rekindle it because maybe they're like, well, we can't drag this out forever when it was happening. And they're like, man, this is big. We might want to wait for WrestleMania. So we're going to put the slow burner on it and then bring it up, the last month and a half before Mania to really get it cooking again because everybody was over on Chad. But that's my 2 cents.
No, I mean you guys aren't far off on what you're saying. With the prestige, honestly, I could see it going to Sammy. I could see it going to Drew too. I could see
Right.
if
Never
it's
even
not
thought of
Sammy, I would want it to be Drew because he's another guy who's going to elevate it even more. Does anybody have any final thoughts on that before we hit the preview to subjects?
Yeah. One name I think that popped in my head of somebody who'd be very fresh that we have forgotten about. If Gunther was to say, come out, I have no challengers left. And it'd be such an amazing story because he'd be, if I can't win this title, it's the only thing I need left. I might as well retire. Sheamus. I think that would be a beautiful thing as well. But to also give you the why, Sami Zayn's best friend is known just to keep on fighting. And I have a feeling, because even though I'd like to see Logan Paul defend his title against LA Knight at WrestleMania, I wouldn't be against Kevin Owens being the guy that takes that U.S. title away from Logan Paul. And if Sami Zayn is to get in that match where maybe Kevin Owens is the voice of reason, Sami Zayn was supposed to be, he was Owens' voice of reason for Jay. But now Kevin Owens is Sammy's voice of reason for himself. And he gives him the confidence. And I think that could be a very great conversation, a great moment. Yeah. Simply because if Kevin Owens becomes U.S. champion at WrestleMania, and Sammy becomes Intercontinental champion at WrestleMania, what happened 20 years ago at WrestleMania? We had two best friends embrace with championships. And why not recreate that moment when we see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn embrace as champions at WrestleMania 40 in the city of brotherly love?
Dude, I could get behind that.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow. That's exactly where we were going with. Chris, best way to type it out for everybody.
I was going to ask if that's what you was talking about.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even read the comment. I just I was waiting for that to retort. So
that's awesome.
Bubba and Terry, you got any final thoughts on that one?
No, I love it. That makes a lot of sense. That would be really cool, reminiscent, and it'd be like this modern day of seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, piggybacking off the IC title talk and exactly what we were talking about tonight, we have. Oh, that's the wrong one. There it is. I am fired. So we have Jay versus Gunther that is for the title, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
For the title.
Yes, it is tonight. So
you guys all call him Gunther. Gunther, isn't his name Gunther?
Gunther.
You can call him whatever you want. This is America. So America says you just call him whatever the hell you want. He's the big guy. Until he comes and slaps me in my chops, I ain't gonna say nothing else. But anyways,
ring general.
So we have Jey Uso going up against Gunther. That just sounds weird to me. So main event, Jey Uso. He's gonna be he's got a task at hand right now. Yes, we see you, Parrish. We see you. So he's got a big task at hand, and it is the IC title. Here we go. We got Grundmeister coming. Gunther.
It's actually Gunther, if you really want to get specific.
Let's just say without the perfectly laid out scenario that Parrish gave us, if we were your average fan coming in, just watching, do you believe Jay has a chance tonight?
Yes.
He has
Yeah,
backup
it's Jay.
to go up against Imperium.
Okay.
Yeah,
Terry?
100%. I'd give it to him.
Yeah, I mean, if he has backup from any of the other tag teams that has gotten manhandled by Imperium, then yeah, I mean, I think he I don't know. Right now, they're just making Gunther's just a beast. I don't know. I can't see Jay winning 1-on-1 with him.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
they're converting this into a 6-man tag because Imperium's going to come out and DIY is going to come out and it's going to be converted into a tag match. They're going to skip the title altogether.
Oh, well, hold
I-
on, Bubba.
I was going more to New Day. That's in the corner of
Or New Day, even.
yeah. But at the same time, that's why I said he has the numbers game matched up with Imperium. But what he's not taking account are other people from his past. And that is why I say, and I will predict, Jimmy Uso, his brother, his twin brother, will cost him his match tonight on Raw to help set up that match at WrestleMania.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, just looking at this, yeah, it's Jay. He's on a run right now. Do I think he deserves a title? Yeah. And I think he does deserve an IC title. He needs the run, though, like we've been talking about, where the IC title means you're the next one up. You're at least going to have your moment at WrestleMania or a big PLE with that title to where you're going to possibly be the one to take over the top guy. And the only way we get that with Jay, I believe, is if Roman's not champion and they're getting ready to push the brother story to where we get them at WrestleMania in the main event, which is exactly what they've spoke about multiple times on different podcasts, on different interviews. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great match, regardless the outcome. I think we're going to have a fun time. Definitely going to be a showstopper. So let's get into the next preview match, and that is going to be the women's match. And this is the huge last battle royal, and it'll determine who is in the elimination chamber entrant. So, out of the ladies up there,
They did add one more
who did they add?
on Twitch, or not Twitch, on Twitter. Adam Pierce added Chelsea Green. Or Chelsea Green complained backstage to him, and he's like, "Fine, you're in the match too," or something like that matter. So I think
And
Chelsea Green's in there too.
That's something that we talked about, Parrish, yesterday, that she is one of them who takes her moments and she runs with it. It makes sense to throw her in at least for competition to get into the elimination chamber. But with that bit of knowledge, what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Personally, I want to see more people added to this battle royal. I want to see everyone who's not in a match added to this battle royal.
You know what? I'm thinking the same thing.
I want Piper to win.
Piper
I
Niven?
won't. If Jade Cargill's in this match, she's a shoe-in to win. I know there's been reports saying she's been quote unquote pulled out, but has she? Who knows? Because these are the same quote unquotes that are saying CM Punk wasn't coming at Survivor Series. These are the same reports that seem to get proved wrong elsewhere. I will see it. I will believe it when I see it. I'm in the road to WrestleMania. That's the only thing I can do. I will believe it when I see it.
Yes, I agree with you, Chris, 100%. For her not to be involved somehow, some way, is neglect on WWE's part because she's the show right now. Like everybody wants to see her, and I agree with everybody else that anyone that is not already in this match needs to be in that ring, just to give them that chance, that quote unquote that chance to get that spot, even if it's like the bottom tier woman that's wrestling that nobody cares about. Who cares? Get her in there. Let her like run in out one other side. Like who cares? Let her do that move. Who cares? At least she was part of it.
Yeah. Terry.
You know,
Jade's big news. I mean, they're keeping her special. I maybe it's to protect her. You say that it's a misuse. It could be to protect her because if they put her in an elimination chamber, you'd want to expect her to win. But then you're like, who'd she face? I mean, we already have. She'd be against Rhea, wouldn't she? Yeah. Which would be a big match and give Rhea a really good challenger to go up against. But I think people, if I don't know if they're gonna wait, another person they want to see her go up against is Bianca Belair. So they kind of teased at the Rumble. So unless they're protecting her, not to put in this match to get a loss, so they can have this big marquee match at Mania against Belair because Belair ain't really doing much. Is she in the Elimination Chamber?
Yep.
Yeah, she is.
Yep.
But I'm not sure who the fan favorite is for that match because there's a lot of people that
Nobody
could.
does. There's so many avenues they could go.
So, I guess, as long as they don't care if Jade would lose if she's not the winner of Elimination Chamber, fine. But if they want her big match to come back and really surprise us, I don't think it'd be wise. Save her for Mania. They've waited this long.
well, I think that's what they're going to end up doing. Really.
Yeah. I could honestly see. Oh, go ahead, Parrish.
I was just going to say one name I think we could see. This is a long shot, but you always seem to have that one person in a chamber match that is a long shot to win. Maybe it's a first out, maybe it's that easy elimination, but who knows? It could be a crowd favorite. That's also an Australian-born women's wrestler by the name of Indy Hartwell.
Ooh.
I wouldn't rule out the potential of adding another Australian-born female onto the card at Elimination Chamber.
Well, I'm going to go to the very first point brought up in that this isn't a battle royal. This is a five people in a ring. Who's going to throw the last person to throw someone out wins. A battle royal, there's more people. Let's get this going. Let's get the hype behind it because you have so much momentum running from the Women's Royal Rumble that why wouldn't you pump in a lot more energy into the Elimination Chamber? You're narrowing it down. You're putting the 6 best women in storylines right now who could potentially be your next champion. So pump it up. Get it going. I understand we're in Rhea's homeland, and she does deserve that main event marquee, but you also have that big push of the chamber. The chamber is a draw in itself. You cannot disregard the magnitude of people wanting to see that monstrosity. You want to see your favorite people.
Royal.
It's a battle royal.
Parrish, if you need to interrupt us with news, let us know.
No, I'm just saying it is a huge chance last battle royal.
Oh, so there's going to be more?
Yeah. It literally says on WWE, huge last chance battle royal will determine the last women's elimination chamber entrant.
Okay, so it's going to be bigger now. So okay, see, there we are.
Mhm.
See, I got all those when we were texting earlier, Parrish. That's when I got all those screen grabs. So I was on there, But anyway, so that's where you need to go with it because it is so momentum. There's so much momentum behind this section of wrestling that it's dumb to waste it. And I can understand the Jade holding her back a little bit and wanting to protect her because of the way AEW ruined what she could be. And they did. They dropped the ball with her 100% of the way. Did she have a role in it? Maybe, but at some point, when do you get fed up with your organization screwing things over? So my thinking with Jade is the night after Elimination Chamber, or the Monday after Elimination Chamber, you're going to see her get put into the ring if she's going to have a Mania match. If not, she might have a run-in during Mania, something like that. So let's get to the last story real quick. We had Grunmeister coming in saying that's not a bad idea, Chris.
When does Chris have a bad idea? That's what I want to know.
Never.
Easy, guys. This head's gonna get really big. Oh, this one. Yes, it's kicking off Raw. I
Yes.
just seen an ad for it.
So we have Cody Rhodes battles Drew McIntyre. Again, I'm liking when they put Drew with a bigger guy. I like the way Drew is with bigger opponents. But hearkening back to our IC talk, the Intercontinental Championship talk, that's where I want to see Drew. If Drew's going to keep making an impact here in WWE, now if he's going to be taking his talents, his prestige, and moving on, then I want to see him in some battles before he leaves and goes on to different land. Parrish, what are your thoughts about this one?
I think it's just a really good match to nail the go home to Elimination Chamber. I think we're going to see some additional storylines to how this progresses with Drew. Maybe we see some with Sammy since he's been with Cody in the last little bit. I think he's either going to help Cody win this match or we're going to get some type of a bloodline interaction to prevent Cody from winning. I think we're going to see Cody perhaps winning as a closer thing, but I also wouldn't be surprised if this just turns to a good old-fashioned brouhaha, have to get that phrase out, and we might see Cody and Sammy later taking on Drew and maybe like a solo or somebody like that. I just don't think we'll get a clear-cut winner because this match doesn't really need one. I don't think so.
Gotcha.
No,
Terry. Or Bubba, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, it doesn't hurt if either one of them don't win. If there's like a disqualification or, like he says, it gets up to a tag team match. It doesn't. It matters, but it doesn't matter because either way, it's going to be a great match, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Very true. Terry, go ahead.
Same thing with Chris and Bubba. Like I said, I think we're gonna maybe see some shenanigans with Bloodline or with Sammy. Another option I thought about is Elimination Chamber week. We could see the other participants come in a big old cluster bang at the very beginning to kick it off, and wow, unless they wait and do it at the end. And everybody come back out and do that. They haven't really announced the main event, so who knows what they do, but you usually have all the people that are in the Elimination Chamber match going at it. So we could see some kind of shenanigans that way too.
Very true. Very true. And you guys are right on that one. It's going to be a hell of a match, no matter what the outcome of is. I honestly want to see Drew assert some dominance, but I like where Terry's going, and I think that if I was in that chamber match, I'd be linking up with all the other guys and being like, hey, do you guys fucking know Drew McIntyre's out there in the ring right now? He's not even paying attention. Let's go fucking old school jump his ass while he's in the let's chop down that tree.
School.
Let's get him worked over a little bit so when he gets in there, he's maybe not too spry and we could take him out a little easier. Throw a little mix in there. I do recall back when they had the Hell in a Cell six-man pack, whatever they had when they had Rikishi and all them in there. Almost a whole month, those guys were just beating the living hell out of each other anytime any one of them got in a ring. And it was exciting because it was like, when are they coming out? So I really like where they're going with this. Again, I agree with you guys. Win or lose for either one participating, it kind of doesn't matter. It's just more fuel to the fire while they get into this elimination chamber and get set up for it. So I would say Raw is shipping up for tonight to be a very excellent one. And if you're a fan of the show right now, here are the window lickers, the Raw recap and review. we're going to be raiding out to the Raw Patrol here in a second. We're going to get everybody's little socials, what they're up to. Just letting the fans know where they can reach out and see you if they liked what you're talking about. Go ahead, Parrish. You're the guest. Let's get all your stuff out there.
All right. If you want to find me on the socials, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Parrish. My YouTube's at Chris Parrish. Follow me on the Twitch at The Chris Parrish. My Facebook's at The Chris Parrish. You can follow me on my TikTok at Chris Parrish, Instagram, and my threads are at Chris.Parrish. Visually, you can find me every Monday when we raid to the Raw Patrol, surveilling the wrestling scene every Monday nights for Monday Night Routine Check. And that's where we will be momentarily. And then every Sundays with the voice, Joshua Joseph, at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, we will have the Chris Parrish podcast, which is live on Spotify if you want to go back and check that out, affiliated with Turnbuckle Studios and Rogue Energy, where you can use the promo code Parrish, Perish, to get your 10% off at cart checkout.
Jesus.
Awesome. Bubba Duke, let's hear you.
Did you breathe, bro?
He's
What's that?
So you got me on YouTube with my good friend and great host of the Boar's Nest it's gonna be Thursday this week, and then next week we're going to Sunday nights after use, gentlemen. Because of the shoot job change, I will not have Thursday nights off anymore. So that is over on YouTube at OMD Bubba. No spaces, capitals on O, M, and D, capital B on Bubba. And you're good to go. That's there. And then Facebook, we have the Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke. And if you want to email us on what game you want us to play, again, it's omdbubba@gmail.com.
all right, Terry. Let's hear about you, buddy.
I said, I don't have too many socials that are like entertaining wise. The only thing I have is a TikTok. It's my name, Terry Haunts, spelling lowercase TerryHontz. Nothing much there. I'm trying to get followers. You can follow to, just basically get updates when I put a funny little meme video out or whatever. What might be on my mind. But trying to get up to 1,000 followers so I can go live and maybe make some more better content in the future.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And you know me. It is I, the voice, Joshua Joseph, and you can always catch me here on Mondays with the Raw preview and recap show with my co-host Bubba Duke and my second co-host, who will be joining us in the next few weeks here, Terry, the Bulkster. So that's exciting news. We will have his TikTok and stuff like that available coming up. You can also catch me on Sunday, like he said, on the Chris Parrish podcast, where we discuss a lot of fun things. And we like to bring all the window lickers, all the parachuters, everybody. We like to throw you in a big ball and spray paint the outside and shake it up and just let you figure it out in there. That's what we like to do. I'm also a part of my own show called Deep Fried Fridays, where basically I just give you my insane thinking of all the things that I think of that is happening in the world. You can stop in, have fun, and understand that it is for entertainment and entertainment purposes only. So jump in, have some fun. We are going to be discussing cults this week. So we are going to be jumping into the Jim Jones, the Manson family, and all the fun, creepy people that have got other dummies to follow them and do dumb shit because, well, who the hell knows, really? Who the hell knows?
That's
But
awesome.
anyways, my friends, thank you for joining me here. Parrish, thank you for being one of our favorite guests to be on here. Fantastic insight on everything that we discuss here. Bubba Duke, as always, thank you for being a friend. And Terry, the Bulkster, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And window lickers, go lick some windows, go have some fun. Let us know what you got going on out there.